Good afternoon. My name is Dina Tamis. I'm a lieutenant with the Holland Police Department's homicide detail. I'll be providing information on two separate incidences that occurred this morning. The first is the attempted murder that occurred in Liha, and the second is the attempted murder first case that occurred in Manoa. Please keep in mind that both investigations have just begun and that some information may not be released at this time as it may hurt the integrity of the ongoing investigations. The attempted murder first in Liha. Shortly before 5:30 a.m., officers were sent to a building on North School Street that was an illegal game room. Approximately 4 male suspects exited a silver sedan which was parked on North School Street. The first male suspect entered the game room where one of the victims observed the suspect to be in possession of a firearm. The victims were able to take the firearm from the suspect by striking him with a blunt object. The suspects sustained facial injuries from that strike. As this was happening, the other suspects attempted to gain entry into the game room and shot the two victims, causing them to sustain gunshot wounds. The suspects then fled in the silver sedan towards Liha Highway on School Street. EMS treated 3 males at the scene before transporting them to a nearby hospital. An attempted murder in the first degree has been generated. One of the suspects, a 24-year-old male, has been identified and arrested for the attempted murder and firearm offenses, and charges are pending. The remaining suspects have not been identified. Investigation is ongoing. I'll take any questions for the attempted murder on Liha Street. Okay. Murder in the first degree in Manoa. At approximately 9 a.m. today, officers responded to a Manoa home where they found 5 deceased individuals, an adult male, an adult female, and 3 juveniles, a 17-year-old, 12-year-old, and a 10-year-old. Their identities will be released by the medical examiner's office. The call was because a witness reported hearing an argument earlier in the morning. Based on the evidence found at the scene and the investigation thus far, it appears that the adult male killed the female and the juveniles with a knife that was recovered from the scene. The motive is still under investigation. For both cases, detectives are continuing their investigation at the scene to include witness interviews, surveillance video review, and recovery of evidence. Both of our investigations are ongoing. Based on the investigations up to this point, this does not appear to be random acts. Anyone with information is asked to call 911 or Crime Stoppers. And I'll take some questions regarding the Manoa case, if anyone has questions.
Were police called to the residence prior?
The police were called at 8:30 this morning initially, and then they returned at 9:15, approximately 9:15.
Did they leave?
They left because there was an anonymous caller and there was no one to meet them, and that's what they got called to initially. It was the second call where they realized what happened.
Lieutenant, we're hearing that 911 got a call around 3 a.m. for reports of screaming from the residents. Do you know anything about a 3 a.m. call?
No, I don't have that information yet. That's all part of our investigation. If it did, we'll find it out later.
What are the ages of the adults?
The ages of the adults, I'm sorry, I don't have that right now.
And are the victims related?
The victims, yes. It appears to be the father, his wife, husband and wife. Husband is the person that killed his wife and his 3 children. Anything else? Any other questions?
In terms of this particular incident with 5 victims, when was the last time you had something with a single crime with 5 deceased? Is it Xerox?
Xerox, yes. I believe
This
it.
is the worst time since?
That was the worst, I believe, yes.
Xerox was the worst?
Yes.
This is the worst since Xerox?
Yes.
Lieutenant, just to confirm, the husband killed his wife, 3 children, and then killed himself?
Yes, preliminary, that's what we have right now. That may change now, depending on what we find.
Do you believe it's domestic violence?
I don't know if domestic violence, we haven't had a history that when we checked, so what the motive is still unclear at this point.
The husband stabbed
That's all part of the investigation. Okay? That's all I have.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'd like to, give my, our heartfelt condolences out to the families that are impacted by what happened this morning in Manoa, and also to those that are impacted in what's going on. There were several incidents that happened over the weekend. Very busy for our Honolulu Police Department. Hats off to all the work that they do and the time and energy they're spending, whether it's uniform patrol, our scientific investigative section, and the other elements that make up the Honolulu Police Department and the work that they do to help solve incidents like this that happen. It's unfortunate and very sad. And with that, I'll take any questions that you might have.
This was the first time I've seen you at a crime scene here, and the chaplain. How terrible was the scene this morning?
Well, it's not the first time I've been at a crime scene. I have gone to other ones. I didn't go inside the scene. I was there more as a comfort and a moral support for the officers and talking to the officers that initially went into the scene to talk to them to ensure they're, mentally, physically fit to continue their job, which they are. But really just to talk to them and get a feeling for what they saw and a way for them to talk to me and a way to for them to take some of that weight off their shoulders that they witnessed as they went into that scene.
Chief, do you know if there are any calls to this home in the Manoa investigation before this incident?
I think that's all part of the investigation, but there's nothing preliminary right now that we know of that showed any reason for the police being there previously, in the recent past or even previously to that.
And just to follow up to our original question, in terms of if any officers responded overnight, Saturday into Sunday, is that something you are aware of, or is that still being looked at?
The information that I have is we received a 911 call at around 8:30 this morning, nothing prior to that.
Chief, at 8:30, you got the call and they went and they didn't hear anything. Is that pretty standard when answers to leave in a case like that?
Well, I think the officers need to make a determination what's going on. They need to talk to an individual. We just can't go into somebody's home without enough information to provide the exigent circumstances that allows us to do that. So I think in this case, it appears that what the officers did initially is to maybe knock on the door, find out what's going on if anybody answered the door. And that's all the information they have. So really, they don't have really enough information to gather to, make entry into the dwelling until we came back at 9 o'clock when we spoke to a witness that provided more information.
Was there an attempt to talk to a witness at 8:30?
I think there was an attempt to try to find out who the initial caller was. And then I think at 9 o'clock, that individual was able to make contact with HPD and then make contact with our officers in person where we could figure out more information and then gain entry at that point.
Do you know what time it was yet?
No, that's all. The medical examiner will make that determination.
Everyone pronounced dead on the scene?
Yes, I believe so.
Pronounced dead or dead on arrival?
I think it was pronounced dead at the scene, yeah. But then again, we'll have more information from the medical examiners. All that is still under investigation. Okay.
How are you holding up, Chief?
I'm holding up, as considered, is one of these things that doesn't normally happen in Hawaii. As you mentioned, it was in 1999. It's the last time in the Xerox shooting where 7 people were killed. And so that is traumatic. I know as a young officer at that period of time. And then today being in this, it's talking to the officers who were there at the scene initially, trying to find out what they were feeling, what they were going through at that point in time. And so vicariously, I absorbed some of that. And so I feel for those officers and what they will see really and understand within, their mental faculties for the rest of their lives. This will have an impact on them, as it would any officer for the rest of their life.
Chief, there's been a lot of pretty violent crimes recently, and a lot of them seem to have stemmed from arguments and things like that. What is the takeaway for the department, and how historically do these numbers compare that we've had in even first couple months of this year?
Well, I think as a way to understand why, those incidents happen, unfortunately, that's not easy done by the victims and or suspects at the scene. I think we really need a way to look at that from a whole of government approach using, academia, social services and capabilities within government law enforcement, our criminal justice system, to really ascertain and take a look at what is creating these types of crimes, what's causing it, and then perhaps we can come to some kind of solutions for that. But thank you for that question. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.